don't know what your plans are today for after today's service, but I know what I will be doing, and it's not watching the Super Bowl, as I know that some of you might be doing today. I shared with one of you yesterday that I don't really have a team preference so much as a commercials and halftime show preference, as in I'd prefer to watch them than to watch the game. But I'll be doing none of those things today. Instead, I will be indulging in a guilty pleasure, thrift shopping. And even better, thrift shopping for work, because there's nothing better than shopping for work. You see, I'm putting together a bin of games for our Wednesday Wellsprings new game night that we're offering in Founders Hall beginning this Wednesday, and so I need to hunt for a few gently used games. And while I am out and about looking for games, I will need to be on my guard, because I, like many Unitarian Universalist ministers, have a little candle problem. Candles are one of those things that I always need. I need them at weddings, I need them at memorial services, I need them at staff meetings and exorcisms, normal ministerial duties. And I often have a hard time resisting the urge to buy candles on the cheap whenever I come across them at thrift stores. Because like any good UU minister, I love me some candles, I am also a fan of Candlemas, even though it is not a Unitarian Universalist holy day. Candlemas is a Christian celebration that falls on February 2nd of each year. It celebrates the day that Mary and Joseph brought the infant Jesus to the temple. Candlemas takes its name from a variety of practices involving candles, of course. And in some countries, during Candlemas, families light every single candle in their homes. They just turn their home into this glowing palace. And in other countries, people process through the streets carrying candles or candlelit lanterns. Can you imagine the beauty of that? People in some countries celebrate Candlemas by bringing all of their candles to church to have them blessed. And you may remember that a year or two ago, we actually blessed all of the candles in this congregation during our Candlemas service, our Imbolc service. And it is unclear how exactly it is that Candlemas came to be associated with candles. One possibility is that the Christian communities adopted pagan customs from the areas that they were living in. Another possibility is that the candles reminded people of Jesus. He was, after all, described as a light for revelation in the biblical account of his presentation at the temple, which is what is celebrated at this time of the year. Now, I have been reflecting for a few days now on this phrase, a light for revelation. As you may know, the word revelation is related to the word to reveal. A revelation brings to light that which has been hidden, shadowed, or obscured. And this, as many of you know, is a difficult time for our congregation. Our lead minister was recently placed on administrative leave for an indefinite length of time. Some of the circumstances around his leave of absence are uncertain. There is only so much that can be shared right now due to issues of confidentiality. Much is hidden from us, shadowed, obscured. We are not sure how many of the details surrounding his absence that we are maybe aware of right now are true, partial truth, whole truth. There are, of course, rumors, there are facts, and we're not always sure what is what. And as a result, we are unsure, perhaps, of our future as a congregation. And in this painful and uncertain time, we have been blessed by this amazing outpouring of support. And much of that support has come from you. I have actually experienced more offers to help than I have been able to actually plug into roles yet. That's how amazing you have been in this time. And some of this outpouring of support has also come from our neighboring Unitarian Universalist congregations. This week, the senior minister in Richmond, Virginia, sent us her assistant minister, the Reverend Sue Cinnamon, to be with us for a few days. Reverend Sue spent 3 days with us to offer pastoral care to our staff and to our lay leaders, and of course to you as members of the congregation. And during that visit, Reverend Sue offered a Wednesday Wellspring program about navigating uncertainty with grace. She talked about the darkness of uncertain times and explained that darkness is not bad, it's not evil, but it's simply obscure. There are things that cannot be seen or known. The full picture or the future or the way forward are all obscured during uncertain times. And wise members attending the session lifted up that times of darkness can also be times of quiet nurturance, when new things can take root, like seeds buried in dark, nourishing earth. Times of uncertainty can be uncomfortable, even when they are potentially filled with good things that are in store for us. We don't know how the buried seed is doing, if it will thrive and grow, or lie dormant, or even die. We don't know all the facts. We don't know how things will turn out. We don't know what our future will bring. And in such times, it can be natural to want a light for revelation, a candle to push back the darkness and reveal the way, the truth, and the light, to use a very Christian phrase. And I think that idea is meaningful even for those of us who don't attach the theological significance that Christians do to that phrase. It speaks to what we hunger for in times of uncertainty, for a clear path forward, for knowledge and understanding, for hope. Can you imagine for a moment being Mary and Joseph as they went to the temple with this new baby in their arms? If you're a parent, I bet that you can. That young baby was kind of like us, kind of like this community. He must have seemed so vulnerable to his parents, so easily harmed. What if they dropped him? What if they messed up as they raised him? Maybe some of us are feeling that way as individuals or as a community in this time of uncertainty. Maybe we're even feeling like that baby may have felt, vulnerable and afraid of what might happen to us if we aren't held carefully in this uncertain time. And hopeful at the same time that those responsible for helping care for us and guide us, our leaders, will hold us close. Mary and Joseph had no idea at that time where Jesus' life would lead. His future was hidden from them. It was obscured, uncertain. He was a new baby. As the future of any precious, vulnerable baby is uncertain, so too was his. They did not yet know what he would one day grow to become. A great religious leader and social leader, as some had told them? Or would he still instead grow to make little of himself, very little of his potential? Or would he fail his mission to help people learn to love their neighbors as themselves? These were all possibilities when he was that little. His future was uncertain. And this congregation has a mission too. Our mission is to build a Unitarian Universalist community that transforms lives and empowers people to serve the world. Our mission is noble. This is great holy work that you have given yourselves. It's your mission. But we may wonder in this tough time whether we have the potential to fulfill our mission. We may wonder in this time of uncertainty whether the spark of our inspiration will be snuffed, whether the wind will be taken out of our sails. Our path may seem uncertain, our vision obscure, our energy waning, our ship sailing off course. And it's natural to feel like this during times of uncertainty. But I want to tell you today that the light of revelation is here among you already, right here and right now. You have brought it with you to this temple, to our sanctuary. You are that light. Mary may not have known what Jesus' future would bring, but she had faith that her precious child would one day grow to be a great person and a great leader, a powerful leader. And though we do not yet know for certain what the next few months will be like for this congregation or what kind of community we may become on the other side of this journey, I have faith in this precious community. I have faith in the light of your potential to grow stronger in the midst of uncertainty and to do amazing things. I have faith in your ability to shine as a powerful leader among the religious communities in Raleigh, as a bright beacon for justice. And I have faith in the fiery power of this congregation to save people, as Mary had faith in Jesus' power to save people, even when he was a vulnerable baby held in her arms. And I'm not talking right now about supernatural salvation. I'm talking about salvation from real-world stuff that threatens, diminishes, and harms life. I'm talking about the power of this community to be a life-giving shelter from and an antidote to some of the destructive forces in our world that are tearing people, communities, and our Mother Earth apart. There are people who are struggling right now, people who are lost in the dark and cold of their own lives and who desperately need the light and warmth that this community has to offer. And these people do not care that we are going through a hard time right now, that things are uncertain for us as a community, that we are not sure where exactly the future is going to take us, because they need us. They need us right now, just as we are, flaws and uncertainty and amazing potential and fiery passion and all. And they will need us in the future to be the kind of life-giving, brilliantly shining, fired up community that I know we have the power to become, because I have seen those sparks glowing within you many times in the 3.5 years I've been here. I've seen them over and over again. I do not know if our future will or will not include Reverend Ostrom, but I do know that this congregation is more than its ministers, that any congregation is more than its ministers. The ministry is the work of the congregation, of the people. And we ministers as religious professionals offer a particular kind of skill set that helps guide you in your ministry. But it remains your ministry. Each of you is like one of the candles glimmering in churches on Candlemas. You each have your own light to offer, your own warmth, your own unique spark. No minister kindles those flames for you, although we may help feed them, strengthen them, guide them, so they glow brighter and more purposefully. And here at UUFR, Reverend Ostrom was guiding us along toward 4 developmental ministry goals that you set, that you kindled, not him or I, to increase commitment to mission and the meaning of membership, to increase collaboration in ministry and governance, to have us working together more, to deepen covenantal relationships with one another so that we're living with love and respect here within our walls and in the wider community, and to become a community that is loving, multiracial, and multicultural. Justin may be on leave right now, but these are still the goals of this community. This is still what we're working toward together. And I can say that this is an amazing vision that you have set for yourselves. I just want to kind of think about it here for a moment. You have this vision of a congregation that is a beacon of light in a dark world. This is a congregation that is so burning with passion for being loving relationships here in these walls and out in the streets, that your light shines out into the world and guides others toward this same vision. That is the kind of vision that you have. That is the kind of energy that you're bringing to this congregation and that you had set before Justin as something that you wanted him to help you accomplish. But to be all fired up and ready to go and make that vision come true, you have to kindle some flames and join them together into a bonfire. And this brings us to the other part of the Candlemas story, the story of Mary and Joseph presenting Jesus in the temple, because they did not merely bring their baby with his uncertain future and his bright potential. They also brought an offering to the temple, a sacrifice of 2 turtle doves. And burnt offerings were a thing in their time and in many places in the ancient world. They were a way of showing commitment, of asking for forgiveness, of being purified, of entering into a relationship with the divine. They were also a way, though, of feeding the community, because the remains of animals that were offered as sacrifices were sometimes sold to the community for funds to then help keep the temple running. This was often used as a way also of feeding the poor. And so we as a community have come to that time of the year when every single year we ask you to bring your own offerings to this temple, to this congregation, and help contribute to the sacred fires that are feeding this community. And there are 3 kinds of fires in congregations, 3 flames that keep the vision burning strong. Those are loving service, unique gifts, and financial giving. These flames of time, talent, and treasure, which I'm sure you've heard before, when you pour your light together, when you unite your individual flames, you burn brilliantly as a light for seekers to follow, as a warm fire for the lonely, as a star of hope for the anxious and the despairing, and as a beacon of justice for those seeking to join with others in common cause. It may be tempting in shadowed and uncertain times to hoard your light, to hide it, to cup it close, to protect it, maybe to save it for later. Times of uncertainty can create a scarcity mindset within us, a fear that there is not enough and that we are not enough. We may want, as James Baldwin once said, to guard and keep ourselves, to hoard our time and talent and treasure instead of sharing them. But as Baldwin pointed out, one can give nothing whatsoever without giving oneself. This is to say, of risking oneself. And that risk may feel great. We may feel as if our little flame will burn up and away, as though it will sputter out and go to waste if we risk giving in an uncertain time. It may feel as though it is just safer to wait and to see how things will turn out before making a commitment to help shape the way that things will turn out. But you know the thing about fire? When we share our fire, the flames don't go out. The fire spreads. And so if you keep sharing your time and your talent and your treasure as you always have, or even if better, you share more of yourself, you're not going to burn out. Your fire will help kindle other flames, will help keep one another brightly burning. And you will set this congregation on fire, and we will all glow so brightly together that it will be as though we are all crowned in halos. This world needs our light, our warmth, our fires. It hungers for them. Last week in our service on hunger, I shared with you Frederick Bucher's wisdom that ministry happens at the place where our deep gladness and the world's hunger meet. There is so much that this congregation does in our hungering world. We offer religious education classes that teach our children to love and respect everybody, no exceptions, in a world that hungers for acceptance and welcome that are so often denied to so many people. We offer countless opportunities for people to come together in community in a world where we are increasingly alienated from one another. We literally feed the hungry. We offer meals to the homeless, and we feed people in need of meals within our own community during times of hardship, illness, injury, or grief. We take care of each other. And we work for progressive values and a more just, compassionate, and sustainable community in a world that hungers for social and environmental justice. And there's also so much more that we could be doing. There's these amazing visions that I know are in your minds right now, that your board has, that we have together. If we only sustain the fire that has already been kindled, but feed it. Nurture it into a huge bonfire, into a raging wildfire. Our generosity team has an ambitious goal for this year's pledge drive because we are an ambitious, capable people with so much to offer our world if we but combine our vital energies. Sustaining and nurturing the many gifts of this community that this community offers the world will require your gifts. Not just your gifts of time and talent, although we need those too, but also your treasure. I ask that you give financially to this bright vision of what we can become by funding it just as generously as you fund other important things in your lives. Now, I'm not asking you to give today, but the generosity team and I are asking that you make a pledge of financial commitment and that you do so very soon. Making a pledge means making a promise to give a certain amount over the course of a year, an amount that works for you and for your family. It means giving intentionally rather than spontaneously, because you have chosen to plan for this congregation's future just as carefully as you have planned for your own. Because this place and this community is an important part of your life. Your leaders rely on your timely pledges to know what next year's budget will be and what they will be able to fund to help us realize our grand vision. Making a pledge means giving bravely, knowing that the future is uncertain and that it is also at the same time so promising. And it means acting on that bright promise by making a promise of your own to help this congregation realize its full potential. Friends, each of your bright lights is needed to help make UUFR the community you have always dreamed you can be, needed to help make this community that you are already becoming into the community the world so desperately needs. You were asked to add your light to the fire by making a generous pledge to help this congregation burn brilliantly as a bright light in an often hurting world. We have so much work to do together, so let's shine brilliantly. And now if you will please rise, embody your spirit, and join in our closing hymn. It's number 1028 in your teal hymnal, Fire of Commitment.